welcome to the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. My name is Tess and I'll be your safari guide here today. Just a couple of quick reminders as we get ready to head out into the reserve. I'd like to remind us all to remain fully seated for the entire trip, keeping those arms, hands, feet, and legs inside the truck at all times. Now that means no standing, no passing anyone side to side, and please do not hold anyone up in the air like Simba. There's no music, there's no musical chairs. You guys are all winners of the seat you're in. Congratulations. Another quick note, as we make our way through the reserve today, please remember that we are the visitors here, but this is the animals' home. So I am just going to ask that we keep our voices soft and low. So we don't want to risk scaring the animals away from the truck. We want to encourage them to come closer. Speaking of those animals though, if you take a look above your head, you'll see our animal spotting guide. I'll give you an idea of what animals we hope to find out here on the reserve today. Of course, we're not guaranteed to find every single one of those animals, but I'll certainly do my best to point out as many as we can. With all that said, we are starting here in the Ituri forest. Animals of the Ituri can sometimes be a little tricky to see since they rely more on the dense vegetation to hide themselves from predators. Animals like the okapi over here to the right. Now, the okapi have a striped pattern there on their hind legs that leads many people to believe that the okapi is closely related to a zebra. Actually, their closest relative and only relative is going to be the giraffe. I know, kind of coming out of left field there. But giraffes and okapis share very similar skull structures, as well as long, prehensile tongues. In fact, an okapi's tongue is long enough for them to lick their own eyes and ears. Coming up ahead of us here on the right-hand side, you'll see this tan animal making their way up the hill. It's going to be one of the greater kudu. For the greater kudu, only the males will have horns. So the ones you see here on the reserve, you can tell are female. Over on the left-hand side, there you can see one of the black rhinos. Black rhinos are unfortunately poached out in the wild for their horns. As many people falsely believe that a rhino's horn contains some medicinal properties. It's really no more medicinal than your very own fingernails. That's because a rhino's horn and our fingernails are both made out of something called keratin. Again, over here on the right-hand side, up there at the very top of that hill, a large black and white bird up there, is a saddle-billed stork. Named for that yellow saddle shape, that's right there on their beak. They're actually quite large birds. Standing at their full height, they measure to be about 5 feet tall. Or the greater kudu here to the right. Now, male greater kudu, their horns can grow to be anywhere between 4 and 6 feet long. Well, with that, friends, it looks like we are going to be heading out of the Ituri forest. Now, our next stop will bring us down to the Safi River. As we make our way down to the Safi River, go ahead and keep your eye out on that water line. You just may be able to spot a hippo or two. Hippos themselves can be a little tricky to see, as they spend most of their time underwater. The hippo being able to hold their breath for about 8 minutes at a time. It's actually not uncommon to catch a hippo sleeping underwater, just like how we breathe naturally in our sleep. Will naturally float to the surface whenever they need to catch a breath. Also down there to the right, you'll see these large white birds. These are pink-backed pelicans. Named for a pink color they turn during their mating season. And that pink color will come in underneath their wings and along the base of their legs. Over to the left, though, you can see a whole group of hippos. Hippos are one of those lucky animals that get fun group names. Now, a group of hippos all together is going to be called a bloat. So behind that island there, we're able to see a floating bloat of hippos. Now, hippos will stay in the water for much of their time. Now, often that can be as a way to keep cool. Above water, though, hippo can regulate their body temperature in a way that's similar to us. And a hippo will sweat. Now, their sweat comes out a bit oilier than ours, but it also comes out bright red. Now, if you find your way down the Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail, there you'll discover some underwater viewing windows. We'll take you just below the surface to see how some hippos can move and swim underwater. My friends on the left, if you look carefully over this railing there, you can see some hippos there on the sandbar. Looks like there's a couple more hippos there in the back by the waterfall as well. Now down here to the left in this next ravine, keep your eyes on the water there and you may see some Nile crocodiles. Nile crocodiles can grow to be 16 feet long and up to 500 pounds, making them the largest crocodilians in Africa. Jaws do come in handy when it comes to raising their young. Spirit crocodiles will take their eggs and roll them between their teeth. Doing so makes it a lot easier for their young to hatch. When their babies are still very small, the parents will even carry them around in their jaws as well, getting them quickly and safely place to place, kind of like a well-fortified minivan. Approaching a baobab tree. Baobab tree is also known as an upside down tree. Taking a look at it, it is a real head scratcher. How got a name like that? A baobab tree will look like this for 9 months of the year, doing so without its leaves to better conserve water there in the trunk. Now, the trunk of a baobab tree is made of a spongy material. Spongy material allows it to hold thousands of gallons worth of water right inside the tree trunk itself. In fact, many animals out on the savanna know that if other water sources run dry, they can always come up to a baobab tree as an additional source of water. As we make our way down the hill here, we're going to be entering the more wide open savanna. Already you can see that the landscape has changed quite a bit from what we saw in the Aturi forest. Animals out here obviously don't have the same vegetation to hide themselves in, so this is where we'll start to see some of the larger herds and groups. Of course, some animals take it a little step further and create their own sort of camouflage. Animals like the zebras we're about to see. Now, the zebras with their crazy stripe pattern can use those stripes to blend in with their large herds. So stripes start to blend together, making it harder for the predator to tell the individual from the whole group. You can also see the big long horns of some of the Ankole cattle, also known as the Watusi cattle, for the Watusi tribe that first domesticated them. And just up ahead a little further, see one of the tallest residents here on the reserve, the Maasai giraffe. You can tell the Maasai giraffes apart from other types of giraffe due to a more irregular shaped spot pattern that they have. Each spot pattern being unique to each individual, about as unique as a human fingerprint. Before we get too far ahead, over here to the left, you can see some African painted dogs. Now, the African painted dog is one of Africa's more prolific pack hunters. They work together as a team to bring down their prey. A couple more animals coming up here on the left-hand side. Moving back there all along that side road, that large tan animal there is an eland, one of the largest types of antelope. They stand 6 feet tall at their shoulder. You can also see sitting here in the sun with the dark brown fur and the long slender horns, those are the sable antelope. Now, they should look a little familiar as they are the symbol for the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. They were chosen to be the symbol because out in the wild, the sable antelope will use those horns to fiercely defend themselves from predators. That's the energy we wanted to bring here. We wanted to become fierce defenders of not only animals here on the reserve, but around the world as well. We can do that through our conservation efforts. Here we're going to get a closer look at the Maasai giraffe. Giraffes will use their long necks to reach up tall into the trees to get where all those tasty leaves are. From there, they make use of a long prehensile tongue. Go ahead and take a moment to look at your own arm. So a giraffe's tongue is about the length from your elbow to the tips of your fingers. Densely migratory animals. So as they begin their migrations across Africa, they'll join herds together, total a number of about 1.5 million wildebeest. They're also known as gnu, that's GNU. You get that name for a little grunting sound that they make. Also coming over here to the right, we'll see these smaller, spore-colored animals. These little guys are known as springbok. Springbok are one of the smallest types of antelope. Don't let their size fool you though. They're also some of the fastest land animals. Say springbok can hit speeds of about 50 to 60 miles per hour. So just under what a cheetah can run. Now they have a funny way of running. It's called cronking, which is a series of leaps and bounds. Springboks can jump 6 feet straight up into the air, up to 13 feet forward. Oh, now off here to the right, looks like we found an African elephant. Elephants have prehensile trunks, which means that they can use their nose like we use our hands, moving things that are in their environment, bring food and water up to their mouth to eat and drink. Coming over here to the left, if you look behind the trees here, you can see some mandrills. Mandrills are the largest types of monkey. Yes, they are monkeys because they do have a little bit of a tail. Now, the male mandrill is going to be quite a bit larger than his female counterpart. A much more pronounced red and blue pattern on his face and backside. Now, I will say it's probably good news for us that we saw that elephant over there. So elephants will often travel in herds. Now, there's going to be the main family herd, typically led by a matriarch. It's going to be the oldest female. Female elephants will stay within their families for most, if not all, of their adult life. Male elephants tend to break off from their family herds, typically between the ages of 12 and 15, so right as they become teenagers. Good news for us is that they don't often go too far away from their larger families, typically only following behind by about a mile or two. In large parts of Africa and even some parts of Asia as well, elephants are considered to be pests. In fact, many farmers lose their crops due to migrating herds of elephants. I'm going to be honest, can't really say I blame the elephant. I mean, they're just walking by, all they see is a free buffet. So it's up to the farmers to find a peaceful solution to not only protect their crops, but to also protect the elephants from harm. It's actually based on research that was done right here at the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. It was discovered that elephants really can't stand bees. I know, of all the little things, the bumblebee. So farmers took that information and placed beehives around their crops. Found that that was more than enough to keep the elephants safely off their land. That farmers were also able to sell off the honey that was being produced by the bees, which in turn works out really nice for the bees too, since they're such an essential part of our ecosystem as pollinators. So it gives the bees stable, but more importantly, protected hives. So unfortunately, bees face the same habitat loss dangers some of the larger, more obvious animals do. Looking ahead, we're going to be driving around a pool of the greater flamingo. The greater flamingo are the largest of the flamingos. They're also the palest pink. Now, they don't hatch this pink color. It takes them about 2.5 years to turn this shade. They get that shade of pink from the foods they eat, which are high in beta carotene. Now, if we were to eat foods high in beta carotene, we wouldn't necessarily turn pink, but we would see some color change, mostly in our fingertips and the corners of our mouth. Instead of turning pink, though, those areas would start to turn orange. Now, rounding the corner here, looks like we found a family of white rhinos. White rhinos get their name not for their coloring, but for the Afrikaans word white. White translates to wide, which is used to describe their mouth shape. There's a more wide set square edge to it, compared to a black rhino that has a more triangular pointed upper lip. White rhinos will often travel in family groups like this, as compared to other types of rhinos that will often travel more solitarily. Looking ahead, though, we're coming up to some nice shaded hillsides. Hills like this are often good places to keep an eye out for cheetahs. Cheetahs, of course, are known for their top speeds, making it speeds of about 60 to 70 miles per hour. In fact, they can hit 60 miles in just about 3 seconds. Can't hold those speeds for long. They're really more of a sprinter. Once they hit their top speed, though, they'll use that long tail of theirs to act like a rudder, helping to make sharp turns without losing their balance. Now, fun fact about cheetahs, they are the largest type of cat that still has the ability to purr, which means a cheetah can purr just like your average house cat. Looking ahead, we're coming up to this rock outcropping called a kopie. Kopies make good vantage points for large predators like lions. You can see one of the lionesses laying on that lower rock shelf, but if you look up there at the very top, you can see the other lioness up there as well. Lions are typically going to be more active at night. That's often because their eyes during the day see just about as well as ours do. But unlike ours, they see just about as well at night. So they'll do most of their hunting when it's cooler, instead choosing to spend their day resting. In fact, lions will rest anywhere between 16 and 20 hours a day. Coming around to the other side of the kopie, though, looks like we'll get a chance to see the male lion up there as well. But taking a look at him, you can tell he's still kind of young. Still rocking a bit of a mohawk there. As he ages, that mane will continue to fill out, get a little darker in color. Now here's a fun Swahili word for you all. The Swahili word for lion is Simba. So Mufasa really just named his kid Lion. Over here to the left, we'll get a chance to see some warthogs. Warthogs like Pumbaa, of course, have those tusks that they'll use to dig out those burrows you see down below, making the warthog the largest burrowing animal. Now, Pumbaa is also a Swahili word Except it doesn't translate to mean warthog. Instead, it translates to mean silly or foolish. But with that, my friends, it looks like we are reaching the edge of the reserve. Just up ahead is going to be the warden's post. Now the warden has asked that we stop by to check in on the Nigerian dwarf goats. We're just going to poke our head in and make sure they're all okay. Shouldn't take more than a minute. Nigerian dwarf goats are very social, playful animals. They love to run, climb, jump, and, well, maybe get into things that they shouldn't be getting into. Well, it looks like everyone here is on their best behavior. Now, these goats may look small, but this is their full adult size. They make incredible grazers, too. So they're able to eat and digest a lot of the grazing material that's often left behind or passed over by the larger grazing animals. Now, if you would like to get a closer look at the Nigerian dwarf goats, I recommend heading over to Rafiki's Planet Watch. Hop aboard the Wildlife Express train, head on over and visit the affection section. I'll get you up close to the Nigerian dwarf goats, as well as some pigs and other animals that you can find and pet while there. I'd also recommend checking out the animation experience, a 30-minute drawing class that'll teach you how to draw on some of your favorite Disney friends. Or you can explore the animal hospital, which will give you a little behind-the-scenes look. So some of the animals here receive their care and get their checkups. Just keep in mind that the first train out to Rafiki's will leave at 9:30 this morning, but from there a train will leave station every 5 to 7 minutes. In the meantime, though, if you're still excited to see even more incredible African animals out here today, be sure to go through the Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail. The trail will take you up to the Okamis, as well as some underwater viewing for the hippos. And if you're lucky, you might even run into the gorilla family that lives over there. Now, if there are any Wilderness Explorer Scouts on board, any Wilderness Explorer Scouts, you are on board the Symbol 1. Symbol 1 is your code word to pick up your safari badge, so make sure to check in with that Wilderness Explorer Scout guide just past our unload dock at the port of the road. Alright, my friends, there's just one last thing to leave you all with here today, and that is Quaharini. Quaharini is a Swahili word that means to go well. So Quaharini friends, go well, go wild. Well, go and enjoy the rest of your day here.